Duh.
You can teach an old dog new tricks.
So it's on?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call to order the Stokes County Board of County Commissioner meeting for August 1st, 2023, 6 p.m. for the purpose of planning and looking at some zoning requests. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is the invocation. Commissioner Mendenhall will do the invocation for us.
Sir. Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening and ask for thy blessings and guidance upon this meeting. We thank you for the citizens that have come tonight to join us in this meeting. We ask that you will give us the wisdom to make the proper decisions upon a planning and zoning meeting and give each person that is here tonight a safe journey back to their homes. All of these precious things we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, the next item on our agenda is disclosure of conflict of interest. Does any board member have a conflict of interest with any of the items we are going to be discussing tonight, or what could be considered a perception of a conflict?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. The next item on our agenda is old business. Does anybody have any old business? Eric, you got any old business?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, then the final item on our agenda is new business, and we have 3 zoning requests to look at tonight. After that's finished, I've got a couple of quick items on new business I just want to discuss with the board for a second or two before we adjourn. So with that, we'll start with our first rezoning request, and I'll turn it over to you, Eric, for that.
All right, the first rezoning request is by Justin Shelton, and it would be from RA to Highway Business. And it would be, permit number 23-493. The rezoning comes to the board as a straight rezoning from RA to Highway Business for automobile sales, new and used. The applicant is requesting this rezoning to allow for a small car lot for sales of his farm truck business. The 1 acre tract has 100 plus minus of road frontage. Planning staff sees no problem with this request and feels that the expansion of a car lot for his mini farm truck business is in line with the long range plan because it supports business-friendly objective as stated in the Stokes County 2035 Comprehensive Plan and provides potential tax base increase due to expansion of commercial property and is reasonable and in the public interest. And I'll pause at this moment for any comments you may have.
Okay, I'll start with Commissioner Mendenhall. Do you have comments or questions on this one?
Nothing really. I just want to make sure. I noticed when the public meeting was held was quite a while back. So my two questions really is: did you have a unanimous vote from your planning committee on this for approval?
Yes, sir, we did.
Unanimous vote. And that was Justin's was the only one. I mean, he was a former student of mine. He was the only one I didn't see anything with the public input from the citizens around that area. I might have missed it. I did see it for the other 2 requests that we have, the public input that was given, but I didn't see anything for Justin. Did we have any public information on that one?
Yeah, there was no opposition to it. He did have his meeting, and that could have been an oversight of my own.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So as far as you know, there were no negative...
there was no negative whatsoever.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Mendenhall. Commissioner Chandler.
Just a comment. I don't see any negative adverse to us approving it.
Okay. Commissioner Wood.
No, this is going next to its body shop, right?
That's correct.
I have no problems with it.
question.
Mhm.
Is this that same Justin Shelton that owns the storage units and stuff in, like going toward Madison and the wedding venue? And
I'm not familiar if he has that or not. I've not heard anything about that.
if it's conditional use, then he has to do what it says. Like he can't build storage units where you.
That's
said you
correct.
put,
It has nothing at all to
car
do
lot.
with that. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, just for his
Now,
little
do you
mini
have to-
farm trucks.
Okay.
Yep.
It might be a different Justin Shelton. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, it sounds like it makes sense to me. I mean, he already has a car business there, and he's just going to expand and sell cars there, right?
That's correct. Just
What
the
are
trucks.
mini farm trucks? Do you know what that is? Or
Yeah, it's
or is
a
it like ATVs or what?
it's a very
It's a golf cart.
tiny truck. When I say tiny, it has a little 7-foot bed on it, and sometimes you can get them with a dump bed. Some people will put larger tires on them. Most of them are 4-wheel drive, and they use them around the farm, that type of thing, for utility purposes, and that's about all I know. I think they're like straight drive, most of them. Like I said, they're 4-wheel drive,
Okay,
that kind of thing.
okay.
Little
So,
enclosed truck.
but it's not like regular car lot. It's something kind of a little different, right?
Yeah, it's a little different. It's designed to help farmers in the area if they want a truck or something like that to use around the farm or something of that nature. It's my understanding that these trucks are not brand new. They're used trucks that can be sold affordably for someone to utilize on their farm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. That's all the questions I have. So if nobody has any other questions or comments, then we get a motion. And Eric's included sample motion in the packet here for whoever wants to do it.
I'll go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Make sure I got the correct rezoning request in front of me here. Okay, concerning rezoning request case number 23-493, attachment A. The Stokes County Planning Board recommends approval of this proposed amendment because it is consistent and reasonable and in the public interest with the Stokes County 2035 Comprehensive Plan and other adopted plans, in that the parcel is currently zoned RA Residential Agricultural and requested zoning district is HB Highway Business. Property is consistent with the O2 Reserved Lands and Conservation Area Development as identified in the Stokes County 2035 Comprehensive Plan because it supports a business-friendly objective as stated in the Stokes County 2035 Comprehensive Plan, and it supports a voluntary agriculture district.
Okay, we have a motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
All right. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving this first request, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes unanimously. All right, the next item on our agenda is another rezoning request, and I'll turn that over to Eric for you to go through that one with us.
This rezoning request comes to the board by Mr. Lewis Timberlake. He's wanting to go from residential agricultural to residential agricultural conditional zoning. And of course, this is permit number 23-329. It comes to the board of rezoning from residential agricultural to conditional zoning for commercial campground and RV park temporary occupancy. The applicant is requesting this rezoning to allow for a glamping campground business. The 28 plus acre tract has 2,275 plus or minus feet of road frontage. Planning staff sees no problem with this request and feels that the expansion of this glamping campground business is in line with the long-range plan because it supports the business-friendly objective as stated in the Stokes County 2035 Comprehensive Plan and provides potential tax base increase due to the expansion of commercial property and is reasonable and in the public interest and supports local tourism. Then it goes on to state the requirements for a campground or RV park. I would state at this time that it's a whole lot different than a regular campground. It's not going to have campers, that type of thing, which you've probably seen in your packet. And also Mr. Timberlake has came out, and I believe he has some information that he would like to share if it would please the board at this time.
Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Louis Timberlake. I'm a lifelong outdoorsman. I appreciate being outdoors. I know that the outdoors has a positive benefit for many people who spend time outdoors. I currently live with my wife and kids on the north side of Greensboro, but we spend a lot of time in Stokes County. We have over many years of living in the area at Hanging Rock, floating the Dan River, biking, fishing, and all of this led us to buy property in Stokes County last year, and now to take the next step and seek to share that property and the ability to be outdoors with other people. And that's led us to seek to build this small glamping campground. We're just talking about 9 sites on these 28 acres. They would be spread out for privacy and set back from neighboring property lines to preserve the tranquility of the area for our guests and for our neighbors. This would be the first glamping campground in Stokes County. And glamping, if you're not familiar, refers to a more upscale experience than traditional tent camping. It's more accessible to those who may not have camping equipment or knowledge, or who just don't want to sleep on the ground. It has proven successful in other areas of the country, particularly those with great parks or a focus on outdoor recreation. It's still a relatively new concept in the Southeast, but there are other glamping opportunities in the state, including around Asheville and Boone. It can take many forms, but in our case, we're talking about each site being a simple deck, complete with a rustic bathroom and water and electricity. And each deck would also hold a spacious canvas safari tent with comfortable furnishings and lighting, including a real bed. And essentially, it's a cross between a more traditional campsite in terms of the setting, but almost a small, very small Airbnb in terms of the amenities that are offered to the guests. Each would be very private and self-contained, more so than you might see in a typical campground. We would not have tents, we would not have RVs, it's just these glamping sites. It is not a place for large groups or parties or anything of that nature. It's for couples, families, and friends who want to be outdoors and might prefer a few more creature comforts than normal. So 9 luxury sites, a short nature trail, and that's pretty much it. Something that is small, simple, quiet, low impact, but offers a great amenity to the county. We've shared this concept with our neighbors and others in the community to near unanimous support. We're excited to be next door to Carolina Zip Lines, and we look forward to growing that partnership. They've been very supportive of this concept. And we've been working closely with county officials to ensure that we're addressing all matters of safety, security, and building codes so that we can offer a safe and high-quality experience to our guests and make sure that the area is preserved for our neighbors as well. We want to be a good neighbor. In closing, I ask for your support of this project that we believe will highlight one of the greatest resources of Stokes County, which is its natural beauty. It will provide a new lodging experience that will draw more people to hike our mountains, bike our trails, climb our rock walls, float our rivers. And while they're here, they will support our restaurants, coffee shops, breweries, wineries, and other businesses. We love Stokes County. We've invested now time and money into this project because we believe that it builds on the strengths of this county and furthers the goals of the county. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, Eric, you have anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll start with Commissioner Cox on this one.
Yep.
You can just stay up there if you want to in case they have some questions.
I have never stayed in a tent like this in a glamping, but it appeals to me because I'm not much for rustic camping. So I only live about 2 miles from it, so I guess I probably won't be using it since my own bed's 2 miles away. But I might just for the fun of it, But I really like the idea. The only thing that I keep wondering about is critters. And I know you've probably thought about critters, and that's not got anything to do with whether I would prove it or not. I'm just curious about, we see bears through there and other critters. So
That's the fun of camping.
How safe is a tent like that? I guess as safe as any tent could be.
I would say it would be as safe as any tent. However, and I think the bear point is a good point. So I'm an Eagle Scout. I've been backpacking through the wilderness where you're dealing with bears all the time, and you have to take precautions to make sure the bears, because they smell something they like, and they're going to come check it out. And so I think that point was raised at the planning board meeting, and I think it's a great point to make sure that we have some sort of food storage mechanism in addition to people's own vehicles, where they could store things that might attract bears. And in the times that guests are not there, the sites would be cleaned, and there's no food or anything that would be stored on the property. There's no food service that's intended as a part of it. People would bring their own food or just go to local restaurants. So that's kind of where we are on that.
Yeah.
And in terms of other pests, we would do some level of pest treatment around the sites, around the decks.
I mean, some
as
is
well.
just going to happen. It's
Sure.
just to be expected. But would you have like I know I read the stuff about where people check in like they do at Airbnb. They would basically, you send them a code or whatever, and they'll be able to check themselves in and out. But then you would have maybe somebody local that you would hire to clean it, or you would have to travel all the way from Greensboro to clean up after people leave, or
Yes, ma'am.
one or the other.
Our plan would be to work with someone local. Actually, I already run an Airbnb in the Boone area, and have found it very successful to find someone local. And also, I like that you get to keep that employment opportunity in the area, and have someone close by who believes in the concept and can go in immediately after a guest leaves and clean things, turn it over, get it ready for the next guest. And then we're about 45 minutes away, so I can still be up here. If something comes up, I would be up here quickly to address it.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm familiar with the Cravers that you purchased the property from, and they're friends of mine, and they were excited to see it be utilized for something like this for other people to enjoy. So I don't have any other questions. I think it's a very positive thing. There's not nearly enough places for people to stay that want to enjoy our mountains and rivers and stuff. So
Thank you.
I think it'll be a good deal.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Wood.
I think it's a great idea. I'm sure this is going to test inspections. Question I got, the tent.
Yes, sir.
Canvas,
Yes, sir.
fireproof.
It's a treated canvas, fire retardant, and mildew resistant, etc.
Great. That's all I got.
Commissioner Chandler.
I think it's a great idea. We welcome the business opportunity that you guys are stepping forward, and that's everyone enjoy the beauty of Stokes County. How soon, when we pass this, how soon would you all start?
We have a couple of permits to move through before we could be ready to do any construction. A lodging permit from environmental health, and then the building permit from the inspections office. But we would then start, assuming that goes through smoothly, start this fall on construction. I believe we would intend to construct in phases, 3 phases. And in addition to the infrastructure that has to be built out, such as septic and wells and such. And I would expect the first phase of 3 sites to be ready in spring 24, maybe the second phase in summer to fallish. And I would hope that third phase by the end of 2024, if not that, then early 2025. We would assess the demand, and if demand is really high from the outset, we would try to speed up that process as much as possible to launch the phases.
Well, do me a favor, and of course, you've already went through the first process of, getting a conditional use permit, but just when you get done with all your phases and everything, if you could get back with our county manager, Amber Brown,
Okay.
just let her know, what the good points and the bad points. I want to make sure that, we want to follow state law, and we want to follow the proper codes and inspections. But I know in a lot of other governments, I'm not saying here, a lot of other governments, I always see issues to where it's almost overkill. It's instead of being able to do certain things just in one sweep, it's constant back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we're already trying to revamp our IT structure, so like you wouldn't have to come from Greensboro all the time to do all your stuff with, with our planning and zoning. It should be able to be done just, over the internet, on the computer. But if you do that for me, I would really appreciate that. And because we really want business like, especially on that side of the county, on the northern side of the county, the tourists and the take advantage of the beautiful countryside that we have. But as we start going through it and we get more people like yourself that are coming from the outside wanting to invest in Stokes County, it'll be interesting to see if we need to improve on anything.
Yes, sir. I'd be glad to offer feedback. I will say so far the staff with the county that I've worked with in the planning department and environmental health have been fantastic. So
That's good. That's always good to hear. Thank you.
Commissioner Mendenhall.
Thank you. Well, this one is sort of personal for me. It's not a conflict of interest, but where I was principal at Nace Reynolds Elementary School for 2 years, for 365 days a year for 2 years, I drove right past where you're going to be at. The Nichols, I see Paul and Kelly back there. Robert Nickel, I think, opened Carolina, the zip lines. And when he opened that was the first of its nature in Stokes County. So therefore, I think you got two things going for you. One is the uniqueness of your venture. I don't think there are any other camping sites around, and I'm glad that I read over your public input. Said that you were going to try to mesh with Carolina zip lines and push people their way also in return. And I think that's good. I think the Bowmans, was Barbara and them still on the zip lines at this time?
yes, sir. Keith and Barbara.
So the only reason I know all of those people is they all were students of mine at Nace Reynolds and then North Stokes. So I've known them for a long time. They're good people. Good to see y'all here. Thank you for being here tonight. And I'll tell you what, when I read over that, I'm gonna be honest with you. I am not familiar with this type of venture. But I think you must be very comfortable that it's gonna be successful. I did see that you are not looking at an expansion, is that correct? I mean, pretty much.
No, sir.
Did you have 28 acres? Did I read that right?
Yes, sir. We have 28 acres. The way the land lies, there is a great hardwood bottom area with a stream running through it that's beautiful and great for hiking trails, but would be more of a challenge to develop in this nature. Plus, our goal is to provide more of an upscale luxury experience, which if you pack up as many sites as possible, we would have probably unhappy neighbors, and the guests themselves wouldn't have that privacy they're seeking. So we're comfortable with the 9 sites.
And right down there, I know Sean was a student of mine and pole vault state champion. A couple times I had to take him home when Robert and his wife weren't able to get to the school. So I've been to the house, I've been to the zip lines, I know all that area very well, and I'm fully supportive. And because I like to see, I read your public information, and it seemed like there were several questions asked of you, but you had the answers you provided. It said in here that in the end, everyone seemed to be supportive of your venture, and if your neighbors are supportive, because I do know every one of the people that was listed, if they are supportive, and this is a unique venture, and I'm excited to see how it goes. I really hope it's successful. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm fully supportive.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Mendenhall. I'll finish up here. Thanks very much for making the investment up here in the county. We appreciate that. We're working every day to get more people to do the same thing, so we're really pleased to have you. I think it's really good that you already do almost this type of business in Boone, so you kind of know what you're doing before you get here. So that should probably head off a lot of issues that you might run into. You did a really good job on the public meeting. I could tell you were serious about making sure you did it the right way, and really seemed to address everybody's issues there, or questions. So that's also comforting. How much will the building codes get involved in what you're doing? I mean, have you kind of researched this already, and is it fairly easy, or will there be challenges with building codes inspectors and sewer inspectors, do you think?
Yes, sir. That is a question I had from the outset as well, knowing that this is a relatively novel concept that is not many zoning ordinances and building codes do not directly deal with glamping. So it's everyone who's in this industry is kind of feeling it out wherever they are. We sat down with Eric and with the chief inspector months ago. I think it was back in maybe February, to talk through that very issue. And got some good feedback. We are having our plans for the decks developed by an engineer and an architectural draftsman to ensure that we're meeting code. And we'll make sure that all along the way that we adhere to building codes. I want to do it because I want to do things the right way. I'll be honest, there are a lot of people who are in the glamping world who they just kind of get a piece of property and just go. They don't necessarily consult with the municipality, and sometimes they turn a blind eye, and sometimes they don't. I want to do things the right way because I want Stokes County to be supportive of this, and from a liability standpoint, I don't want to cut any corners. So we're going to ensure that
will it require
it
engineer
codes.
drawings for those platforms? It probably will, right?
Well, I would say the strong encouragement was yes. The value of the platforms is such that technically they would be under the value of what's required to have an engineer stamp it. But we're still having the engineer. It's in the packet, I believe. We're going to tweak a few things before we submit for permits, but we've already had an engineer draft them and stamp them.
Okay, great. Yeah, myself, I've been here a long time in various positions, but I had a discussion with our previous planning director about what you just said. Folks that want to come in and not do it the right way, tree houses and everything you think of, and call it glamping. And so I was really pleased to see this package. It's really got it together and not one of those kind of situations. We've had that same discussion about tiny homes. We're not there on tiny homes yet either, but I think it's really super great idea. How's the sewer system? How will that work? Will each one of these sites have a separate sewer field like a regular structure would, or?
We will have 3 septic systems as a part of it. One is actually on-site existing and a functional septic system. Each phase will have its own septic system, so they will be clustered enough that that 3 sites can share a septic system, and their size. We had a soil scientist help us with this. They're sized appropriately, so that we did the cost of an individual septic system for each site was just going to get prohibitive. But 3. We'll have to install 2 new ones, and then there's one existing on property that we can use for that purpose.
Okay.
So we'll install 2 new septics, install a new well. The old well is non-functional at this point. And those, the soil scientist and environmental health both felt it would work just fine.
Yeah, and you'll have one well for the whole property, and
yes, sir.
will you store water in a tank or something, or?
We have talked with our well contractor about that. He understands that we need to have a certain capacity in order to feed throughout the property, and the tank on top of the well would need to be probably a little bit bigger than normal. We haven't gotten to the specifics yet on exactly what that size would need to be, but before we finalize that installation, I'll make sure he understands everywhere the water's going and about what capacity we're looking for.
Okay, good. Well, I don't think I have any further questions. I'm looking forward to you getting it going. So
Be sure to push people towards John Brown's store for food. Right around the corner.
Will do.
Okay, anybody have any other comments or questions? If not, can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Brad, fire away.
The Stokes County Planning Board recommends approval of this proposed amendment because it's consistent and reasonable and in the public interest with the Stokes County 2035 Comprehensive Plan and other adopted plans, and that the parcel is currently zoned residential agriculture, and the requested zoning district is RACZ, which is residential agricultural conditional zoning. The property is consistent with the O2 reserve lands and conservation area development as identified in the Stokes County 2035 Comprehensive Plan because it supports the recreation-oriented business objective and the open space policies as stated in the Stokes County 2035 Comprehensive Plan, and it supports the voluntary agricultural district.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Chandler. Get a second. Any further questions or comments? I had one question. I meant to, the planning board approved it unanimously, didn't they?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought they did. Okay. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, one more to go. Eric, case number 23-541, if you want to go through it right quick.
Sure.
All right, this rezoning request comes to us by Kevin and Tina Hooker. They're wanting to rezone the property that they're going to be purchasing from RE, which is residential exclusive, to RA. And permit number is 23-541. This is going to be pretty much a straight rezoning. Basically, the reason why they want to rezone is the fact that residential exclusive doesn't allow animals or like a small shop in the backyard. It's kind of a rare thing, to the best of my knowledge, in Stokes County, and we were kind of surprised when we ran into it. So they would like to have a few animals on the property. It's very rural. It's a large property, and the planning department didn't see any reason why there would be an issue with rezoning this to RA at this time.
All righty. Keith, you want to start with this one?
I don't have any questions. I'm good.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
If they bought the property yet, or they're going to buy the property?
They're going to buy the property. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Brad, you got comments?
When was the original zoning put in place?
We looked as far back as we could, and I could not find the origin of that zoning. It's been there like that for a decent while now. It was only 3 or 4 properties close by that were apparently they were part of the same tract, and the only thing that I could find was that they didn't want mobile homes in the area, and for whatever reason at that time they rezoned it to RE.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, Commissioner Mendenhall.
Just want to make sure of 2 things. Did you get a unanimous vote from your committee to approve this?
Yes, sir.
Everyone did. And knowing the area, I do know where this is, the area, and I certainly think that converting it to RA would be fine. I know where this area is. I see no problem with it. So I'm very supportive of this, Mr. Chairman.
It says that all of the folks in the public information meeting didn't have any issues with it, so he contacted all of them. Okay. All right, I don't think I have any other questions on that one, so can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion. Stokes County Planning Board recommends approval of this proposed amendment because it's consistent and reasonable in the public interest with the Stokes County 2035 Comprehensive Plan and other adopted plans, in that the parcel is currently zoned residential exclusive and the requested zoning district is residential agriculture zoning. The property is consistent with the O2 reserve lands and conservation area development as identified in the Stokes County 2035 Comprehensive Plan because it supports low-density rural development.
Second.
All right, have a motion and second. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that takes care of our three issues or three zoning requests for tonight. I've got a couple items I wanted to mention before we break up, just real quick. One is the I was on a discussion with Amber and Glenn and River Street and some others on that contract thing that we're looking at for our next meeting. And the issue came up of they're getting ready to place antennas on, I think, primarily existing towers. There could be a new tower in there somewhere in the future, but I think it's primarily right now looking at existing towers. And going to Eric's department, they're going to be charged a chunk of money like we do for the cell towers companies. We have a consultant up there. What's the name of him? Do you remember? Jackie's outfit.
Hicks is
Yeah, Jackie Hicks outfit or whatever. That group is set up to advise us, and their fee structure is based on charging big sums of money for the advice they give us to cell companies with deep pockets. Our internet providers are not necessarily in that category, and so I'm going to put on the agenda for our next regular meeting to look at that. I think they told River Street 15,000 or something to look at sticking 2 or 3 antennas somewhere, and that money comes right out of our internet program if it goes to these consultants and stuff. So I think we need to, I'll get a bunch of information together for the board on that before our next meeting. And then the other thing, Darlene and I were talking today, which is nice to have her back. She's been here before a few thousand times. But used to, I think she mentioned this to you, Eric, used to, at some point in time, we were doing, before each item on our agenda, each request, we were doing a public hearing to allow anybody to come up that had an issue with either for or against, if they wanted to speak on that particular issue. And just to make sure, and a sign-up sheet where they could do that if they wanted to come and speak. So if you guys would like to go back to that process of giving the public an opportunity to sign up and speak ahead of time on the zoning request, just let me know, and we'll let Eric know, and we'll, I think it's probably kind of a good idea personally, but
I agree.
Public comment section.
Absolutely. I support that 100%.
okay.
Public comment section.
Public hearing.
Yeah,
is
public.
being- Yeah, public hearing on that specific item.
Request,
Okay.
Not a public comment, it's just to talk about anything, but just a
Right,
public
right,
just for that, yeah.
So why don't we put that on the next, put that process back in place then of having a public hearing for each item.
I think that's very important.
I think it's very good.
Okay. All righty. Does anybody, any of the other board members have any new business that you'd like to discuss, additional business?
No.
Okay, then get
Make a motion, we adjourn.
a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?